Today I want to tell you a story, and it's entitled Angels All Around Us. Angel. Now, who believes in angels? That's good. That's good. Hey, angels are good. Believe in them. There's nothing wrong with that. Anybody knows, before I tell a story, what they do? One of the jobs they do. They do a lot of stuff, but can you give me one?
Warn people about something like when Mary was going to have her baby.
High five for that one. They warn people. They tell people stuff. Yeah, that's one of their functions. I wasn't even thinking of that one. High five. That is great. So angels, are God's helpers. They carry out his functions and they do what they need to do. This story is about a girl named Mary. I never even thought about that. You're right on the ball. This story is about a girl named Mary. She was a little girl, just like some of you are right here. Very nice girl. She lived out there in the country. It's just one major town where she lived, just like Myerstown or wherever you live. And so Mary would often go to her grandma's house right after school, stay a bit, and then leave from her grandma's house, meet her older brother. Now, she had an older brother. He was much older than her. She would meet him right at the edge of town, because her grandmother lived at one edge of town, and their house was on the other edge of town. So her older brother worked in town, and so he would meet her, take her from where she was with her grandmother, walk her to the edge of town, and then she would go home. No big problem. This is what they did for years, as she was growing up, and so she learned. Now, one day, she was walking with her older brother, just coming from her grandma's house, just like normal, and she looked over to the side, and she's like, why do we always walk in the middle of the street right here in town? That's what she said to her brother. Right there in that back street is cooler. That little alley there. Why don't we walk there and cut through? And it's going to be a shortcut home. Her brother said, listen, don't you ever go to the back streets or the alley without me ever being there. There's a lot of persons back there, and they're not so nice. They might want to take what you have. So if anything ever happens and I can't walk with you, stay on the main street where everybody is, and you'll be fine. It's longer, but it'll get you home. Right? Well, one day as usual, she was there at her grandma's house, and she wasn't paying attention to the time. Neither was Grandma. Grandma getting older, like some of us are. And so the time missed, and Grandma says, oh, you got to hurry up and go because you need to go meet your brother. Remember, he has to go to work so that you can get home. And Grandma says, for all the little stuff you did around the house today, I'm going to give you $5. And she was like, yes, $5, I'm rich. So her grandma gave her $5. Then her grandma said, also, I'm going to give you some money for you to give to your mother. Now, this is very important. She's going to do something for me, and I need to give her all of this money. It's a lot of money. But put it with your $5 in your little purse and go home, and you'll be fine. She's like, okay, Grandma, and she rushes off. When she gets to the edge of town, her brother says, you're half an hour late. I can't walk with you all the way. I got to stop on my way into work and go to work. And then you go the rest of the way. You know the way, right? She's like, I know my way. Remember, stay in the middle street. Don't go on the back street. I heard you. And so they walked for a bit, and he says, I got to go into work. So he turned off and went to work. Well, while she was walking, the sun felt so hot. She was like, oh, this is so hot. And she watched it like, I can't do this anymore. Oh, look at that. Shortcut. So she decided she was going to take the shortcut. And she went on the back street. On the back street, the houses are so close behind each other that the sun isn't coming in, and it's a bit dark there. And so she was walking real fast, and she's like, I better get out of here. They already told me not to walk here, but I'm going to walk. And while she was walking pretty fast, just as she was almost out of the back street, a guy stepped out. Seems like he came from nowhere. And she was like, what is this guy doing? He had a mean face. And he was looking at her. And she was like, what do I do? What do I do? Now she started to run back, then her parents would have found out that she took the street because she would take a longer time to reach home. And plus she wasn't very fast. Her little foot couldn't carry her as fast. And she was like you, Tatum, feet slow, can't go fast. And so she decided, I'm going to walk past this guy. And so she held on tight to her purse, and she was walking, and she walked right up to where the guy was standing with the mean face. And the guy looked at her and went, and he just allowed her to pass. And she was like, why did he allow me to pass? Well, what had happened, when she had decided to pass the guy, she remembered in Sunday school that they said angels are around them to protect them. So she whispered a prayer in her brain and she said, God, please put your angels around me to protect me. And so when she got out of the alley and she saw the sunshine, she hightailed right to her house. She ran all the way home and her mom said, are you okay? I'm fine. And so she gave her mom the money. Later that day, they were listening to news on the radio, and they heard that a woman, not a child, a woman was held up at the alley, and they took away her purse with all her money. And she was like, what time did that happen? And when she heard the news, it was just 5 minutes in between when she was there. And she's like, wow. So she went and talked to her dad and her mom, and she confessed and said, this is what I did. I walked through the alley when I shouldn't have, and I think I know the man who took the lady's purse. So they went to the police. And when they went to the police, they gathered up all the persons that lived near, and they said, you think you can point the man out? And she said, yes, that's the man. And the man says, oh, the kid. And so he was like, oh. So yes, it was him that took the money. So he was being put away and being locked up. And the girl said, I don't understand, Daddy. And Daddy says, what don't you understand? She said, why didn't he take my purse? I would be easier to rob than an older woman. Why wouldn't he take my money? So he said to the police, stop a second. And the girl said, why didn't you take my money? I had a purse in my hand. The man turned and looked at her and said, because you weren't alone. He said, on either side of you, just when you walked up to me, there appeared two very big, strong men. I didn't know where they came from, so I just backed off and let you pass. You see, many times we think God doesn't send protection for us, but there is always protection all around us. And God sent his angels to protect Mary, and so he will send his angels to protect us. So anytime you're scared and you don't know what to do, pray to God and ask him to send his angels, and they will protect you. And that's children's time for today.